It's Thursday again, tell everybody to lock in, grab some popcorn, a drink, and go and throw your AirPods in. It's the 1 hour show, constantly speaking facts. Bulletproof stats are always shooting from Matt. And when it comes to Kyle, you getting numbers and style. Jake is gonna educate you, he has that knowledge on file. Players, step your game up, don't be sluggish or lazy. Or Jimmy J might hit you with a shaky baby. Catch him on YouTube or any podcast platform. Breaking all the news down like Shaq does the backboards. No hot takes, this is where the hottest debate's at. Now kick your feet up, cause it's time for straight facts.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Straight Facts, a sports show that educates and entertains, presented by the Up On Game Network. It's back to the basics time a little bit. I'm here with my guys. I'm Jimmy J. I'm with Kyle Sirik and Jake Galley. Like I said, back to the basics. Kyle, you and I were talking right before we got on, and we were like, yo, we haven't been in the home studio in a minute, not doing a full episode, done some breakaway videos. But
right.
I haven't sat in this chair doing a full episode
since season one. Right? We haven't done this, I think, because Jake and Matt did the one episode over this, right? But we were both out, so we haven't done this since what, June? NBA Finals time?
Wow.
Crazy.
That's crazy. I mean, you think we still got it, man? You think?
Hey, I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable.
There you go. So I work on a night show called BetMGM Tonight, and they're in studio. They always have been, and for the first time, because of the DC snow, they had to do it from home. Let me tell you how many tech issues. And I was like, I've been there. Like, so I just know from both sides of it. Right. I'm like, this is just a world of pain.
It's just how you got to go through it. Yep.
It was tough.
Oh no. All right. Well, don't wish. We'll put a juju over here. Like I need no technical issues over here. Before we get started, Spotify done blessed us with a new feature. We're going to tell you about it. You can now leave a rate on Spotify. So for all our listeners that get us on Spotify, go leave that 5 stars for your boys over at Straight Facts. But we're going to go and get this episode started, man, because for all intents and purposes now, it's playoff time in the NFL. I know we have one final week to go, but every team who's good, people who aren't named Aaron Rodgers, are pretty much resting. For these other teams, we have a tight playoff race in both conferences, which it really boils down to. So we'll start in the NFC. And Kyle, you're going to go ahead and break it down to us, man, because it gets murky, and even I was having a tough time.
Yeah, the NFC
through all this mess, man. Go ahead.
The NFC one's a little easier. Wait till we get to the AFC. But right now we got the North, South, and East are all clinched. That's Packers, Buccaneers, and Cowboys. The Packers also have the 1 seed clinched up. The West is up in the air. That's the Rams right now in the position. And then you go to the wild card. The Cardinals and Eagles have clinched wild card spots. Obviously, the Cardinals can catch the Rams in the NFC West, and the 49ers haven't, and the Saints are in the hunt. So the only 2 scenarios to look at here is obviously the NFC West. The Rams clinch with a win. They play the 49ers or a Cardinals loss. And obviously the Cardinals would be the opposite. They need to win and a Rams loss to clinch the NFC West. That's just for home field advantage, obviously, which you want. But the wild card's the big one, because you got to make the playoffs. The 49ers clinch with a win or a Saints loss, and the Saints will clinch with a win and a 49ers loss. That'll be the 7th, could be the 6th wild card spot, depending on if the 49ers come out. But not as crazy as the AFC is going to be. We're looking at an NFC West race, and we're looking at a wild card race.
Right, and it's so a couple of games that this plays out in, or these scenarios play out. And obviously the first one, the big one, the 49ers at the Rams at 425. The 49ers won this matchup, back in week 10, 31-10, and the least amount of points that the Rams have scored all season. So 49ers need this game, and the last time they got it, or last time they played, they got the Rams. So Jake, I'll start with you. Like, how do you really see this game playing out?
So it's really, first off, hats off to the NFL schedule makers.
They did it again.
They did it again.
They don't miss, man. They really don't.
And it makes for these matchups, and we'll talk about it because it's in the AFC too. Like, I want to set, every part of my football brain tells me, look, Rams are going to come in here and clean this up. There's going to be no problem. But then I have seen games in which the Rams and a lot of the teams in that division just lay eggs. Like, they're these dominant offenses that can really have bad performances. Looking back on the first time that these two teams played, Debo went wild on just 10 touches. I mean, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, I can't with Jalen Ramsey on the field, and granted, Debo's a guy you can move all around the field and kind of disallow one player from shadowing him. But like, I have to think if you can stop Debo Samuel, you have like a very good chance at winning this game, especially if Jimmy Garoppolo isn't able to go. Trey Lance, he did not look very good. I don't know. I'm pretty sure. I forget which of us chose him in which rookie quarterback is going to have the best year.
I chose Mac, so that's all I care about.
Yeah, I chose Trevor Lawrence.
I got that one.
I may have chosen Trey Lance, and I was wrong.
Which one of you guys ate my lollipop?
Right.
Like,
I don't think this game. First of all, Jake said shout out the schedule makers. All three of the games that matter in the NFC are all at 4:25, so they're all at the same exact time, which is crazy as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this game looks like it looks like in Week 10, obviously, and not just that. I think the Rams are going to win, which I do, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Obviously, that one was a blowout for the 49ers side, but both teams have been playing pretty well. Jake, you make a good point about Trey Lance. If he has to go, I'm a little less confident in this team. But the Rams aren't going to come in here and beat this team down, right? This game is in L.A.
It's in L.A., yeah.
Which isn't even a great home field advantage if you look across the league. The Rams' home field advantage is whatever.
And it's too easy for the 49ers
I'll take
to get
a
there.
gritty team.
There, right?
I'll take a gritty team with a great coach in Kyle Shanahan to fight for their lives in Week 18 because they have to. Right. So I think this is a closely contested game. I think the Rams eke it out in the end just because they're coming in super hot. They're clearly, over the course of the season, have been the better team, have been the most consistent team. But we're talking about 5 straight wins out of the Rams, 27.5 points per game. They're only giving up 16.5. I mean, dominating recently, making this push. This team wasn't leading the NFC West all season. The Cardinals had that locked up. And this team has made that push. They've made that leap. They're ready for the playoffs, and I think they lock up home field for the wild card game.
I'm actually right there with you. And for a lot of those points, like the Rams, the last time they played, the Rams got held to 10 points. So now the Rams come off having to get a gritty win in Baltimore, kind of this ugly win that they scrapped together. They get to go back home in the warm weather and get to be a shootout football team again. And if they be a shootout football team, I think they beat the 49ers. I mean, the 49ers, it can be a great offense sometimes, but not on the road. I mean, I think they have yet to score over 30 points on the road since they went to Jacksonville. And even then, I have to look back before then because I don't really give you that much for scoring 30 on Jacksonville. But I do think you're going to have to put up close to 30 points to beat the Rams at home. So that, I think for those reasons, I'm right with you, man. I see the Rams coming home and locking that win up. Like, yes, the 49ers are going to fight. They've shown that they're a good team. And I'll put Kyle Shanahan's, football mind against anybody. I think that's going to be a good coaching matchup too between him and McVay. But I think the Rams get to turn into a shootout team, and I don't think the 49ers can keep pace with that. Give this a gritty matchup in San Francisco, then I might, then I guess it depends on who controls the pace of the game then. Because if it goes shootout, I'm going Rams.
Also, if you can't get over the Niners at home when you need the game, maybe you weren't built to win a Super Bowl anyway. Like,
here you go, the Chiefs of the NFC.
Right.
Yeah, they were the Chiefs, all right. The Chiefs in like the first 5 games of this year of the NFC lately.
For sure. All right, we're gonna move on to the next slate of games, or the next game that has playoff implications, because those pesky Saints, bro. Like, they really should have went away a long time ago, and they haven't. But they go to Atlanta to play the Falcons at 4:25. The Saints are winning games, but they're not winning them impressively. They're not winning them well.
Not
they're
gross.
Like remember when the Steelers, but not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago, they went on this stretch of 3-4 wins, and I was like, they keep getting these fugazi wins, it's making me mad. Now the Saints are doing the same thing, where really the defense is about the only thing that's going well, and they're winning these games, but their offense looks putrid, man. Like, it really doesn't look like it's built well.
No.
But they win in Atlanta, they find themselves in a very good position to make the playoffs.
I mean, like, Taysom Hill's a quarterback, first of all. And
what's going on?
I get he's 3-1 as a starter this year, but it's not pretty. He's got like a 54% completion percentage. He's thrown 4 picks, only thrown 3 touchdowns. I mean, you would think they need to establish the run, but they're still not even doing that, and they're still winning games. I mean, it's crazy to me. Only 218 yards of total offense as an average of the last 3 games.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure Atlanta, they clearly have nothing to play for. But if they show up to this game, if they want to be here, right? This game's at home, last game of the season. If they show up and they play meaningful football, I think they very well beat the Saints because I don't like what I'm seeing in New Orleans right now at all. Now, if they don't show up, I'll take the Saints all day in a game that matters like this. But the Saints defense would have to do what they did to Tom Brady, right, to really tell me that they're going to dominate this game. Because at worst, it's a close game. The Falcons have a better offense right now than the Saints do.
Absolutely. And you're all that's logic, man. All that makes so much sense, but we're dealing with the Atlanta Falcons. So you got to remember that they defy all logic. So yes, they're set up to win this game. And then you look at the stats, you look at the facts, which we do. That's what we do on this show. Then the Falcons do the best thing that they do and flip that script. With they're averaging like 14 points in the last 8 games. They're 2-5 at home this season, where you're supposed to have a better record. And then all of a sudden the Saints come in and they're 5-3 on the road. They play better on the road than they do at home. So then you're like, oh, so where it should be, yes, Atlanta takes care of it, leaves the Saints out. The Saints, everything is now set up for them to win this last game in Atlanta and go on to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like that's where it makes me extra mad when I look at the Falcons.
Right.
Is look at you once again, just boo-boo to fool it up.
That's the thing. And the game only matters for one team, and it's not the Falcons. So, I mean, I see the scenario, but if they show up, I think the Falcons win.
So real quick, I agree with you guys, everything you guys said. Here's a hypothetical, because I just cannot believe they are giving Taysom Hill like the money and multiple weird contracts that they've given him.
4 years. I got to say it out loud. 4 years, $160 million. All
right. That in mind. Actually, we can put money aside even. One game in 2021, you need a good quarterback performance in the Saints offense. They want the running quarterback mold. Do you want Taysom Hill as your starter or Cam Newton? It's a tough question to answer. Taysom Hill or Cam Newton? Because one of the guys was out of a job earlier this year.
Taysom Hill. Cam Newton's been so bad since he went back to Carolina.
Me to say, Taysom Hill doesn't throw it well.
No.
but he throws it. Cam don't throw that thing at all. I'll take 4 touchdown passes or 3 touchdown passes, whatever you say, Kyle, to 0 touchdown passes. Cam didn't have any.
Cam's looked so bad.
He started like 6-7 games that didn't have any.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I can't take that.
He's missing screen passes.
I love Cam to death, man. Like, I love Cam. And if he would have stopped a couple of years ago, I'd make a Hall of Fame case for him. But like, I can't. I'll probably take Taysom.
The fact that it's like even bantered about and one guy
it's nuts. It's
not even a quarterback.
It's a contract that really skews it, right? One guy's not really even a quarterback. Yeah.
It's nuts. All right, tie a bow on this. Who you guys got, Saints or Falcons?
This one's so tough for me. Like I said, if the Falcons don't show up, they have no shot in this game. But if I'm taking this team versus the Saints team as what we know, what we've seen over the season, I'm taking the Falcons at home.
I'm going to take the Falcons as well. They're not really in a range where like losing or not showing up does well for your draft position, which in those cases, when it is big for draft position, they won't have Matt Ryan starting if it was between this and like a higher pick. That's not the case. So I actually like their offense better than the Saints. I think their defenses are about equivalent. So I'm going to take Atlanta.
You guys forget who this team is?
Oh, no.
Saints I've watched some Saints games. They're pretty hideous on offense. This isn't a convincing Falcons pick, trust me.
I see nothing about the Falcons that says the Saints are fighting for the playoff lives. You guys just told me the Falcons have nothing to play for, not even draft position. This game is meaningless.
Well, no,
and the Saints need it. Right?
I can't get over that Miami game that the Saints put up 2 weeks ago at home. After they lost 20-3, I can't get over that one, man.
Yeah, both of them are pretty woeful teams. So
I'm taking the Saints, and they're gonna scratch and crawl their way in. And hey, man, maybe this all it does is prolong the Taysom Hill project for them. And as a division foe, have at it.
Yeah.
Even with the 2 regular season losses they gave us,
I got this one.
Yeah, absolutely have at it. The last one in the NFC is really quick. The Seahawks and the Cardinals. Of course, this game only matters if the Rams lose. But are we even giving the Seahawks really a shot to make the playoffs at this point. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that team in the playoffs.
No, they can't make the playoffs.
Yeah,
the Seahawks can't make the playoffs. The reason it matters is because if the Rams lose, the Cardinals could then win the NFC West. Yeah, the Seahawks are already eliminated.
Right.
With that being said, I am giving them a little bit of a shot in this game. Now the Cardinals are going to be playing their butts off, right? I mean, NFC West home field advantage is huge, and the playoffs are going to want that. But after what I saw last week out of Seattle, I think you got to give them a shot, right? DK Metcalf caught 3 touchdowns. Penny put up another 2. Lockett had a good game. Russell Wilson looked good. I think they lose.
Was the most impressive part of that. They found
I think they lose, but I mean, I think they can give a fight.
And I'll back that because they found their ground game again with Rashad Penny, and they've gone through the same song and dance with the injured running backs. Rashad Penny comes back, has a monster performance, and that's the identity of the Seahawks. That right there is enough to make Russell Wilson kind of peek back and be like, if we can get that, but that's what make them peek back is what I said. Peek back and be like, that's what we can do. But before you go, Jake, the funniest part of the Seahawks win last week is watching DK Metcalf pout publicly and catch touchdown passes. Like almost they threw those like here you go, catch this. And then he finally got happy. Like he wears a pacifier mouthpiece for a reason.
That's crazy.
He really does.
He better turn that frown upside down because Russell Wilson is going to peek back and he's going to be looking for Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny is a free agent and going to get paid, probably not by the Seahawks. Number two, he can pout all he'd like. Go ahead and have a Matt Flynn in there once Russell Wilson gets traded, or a Matt Flynn-esque player, backup QB throwing you the ball. Going to be a lot of pouting.
Gino's still their backup? Because he's seen it. He's seen it. I don't think he wants it, man. He's seen it.
Yeah,
We'll go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree with everything that you guys say. The only thing is that, again, with the divisional aspect, that is going to have Seattle playing. Same reason I picked Atlanta.
Right. Yeah.
Pride. I mean, Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson also have too much pride to go belly up on anybody. Don't play football against anybody. We'll move on to the AFC, right? We're going to move on.
Yeah,
to
but let's see who we got in the playoffs. We got the Rams or Cardinals winning the NFC West. You think the Rams take care of San Fran?
I think the Rams take care of San Fran, yes.
Oh, you're saying into yeah,
into the NFC West spot.
Yes.
You think so too?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. And then I guess that means me and Jake would still have the 49ers in the wild card, and that means, James, you're putting the Saints into the last wild card spot.
I hate it. I really hate it, but I do. Like I see it. I definitely see it.
All right, we'll move into the AFC side. No number 1 team clinched yet, number 1 seed. The Titans, all they have to do is beat the Texans, and they'll clinch that up this week. We have the Bengals have clinched the North. Titans have obviously clinched the South, and the Chiefs have clinched the West. The East is still up for grabs. The Bills hold the spot right now, but the Patriots could take it over from them. It would take a Bills loss and a Patriots win or tie to get there. Sorry, I got to clear my throat. And then we got 2 more wildcard teams who haven't clinched the playoffs yet. The Pats have, regardless if they win the division or not. And that's the Colts and the Chargers, with the Raiders, Ravens, and Steelers hanging right behind them. So on Sunday night, we'll start here, even though it'll be the last game. Chargers play the Raiders, pure playoff tiebreaker. If you win, you're in. If the Chargers lose, they're out for good. This is a must-win for them. The Raiders have a slight backdoor scenario to get in the playoffs if they lose on Sunday night. But they'll know that before the game, and the other 2 teams would have to lose, and that's the Colts, who all they have to do is beat the Jaguars, and the Steelers, who have to beat the Ravens, and the Colts have to lose to the Jaguars to get in. So a little bit to unpack, more than the NFC, but pretty linear all around. We have a 1 playoff tiebreaker, and honestly, I think we're all just going to count the Colts in anyways.
Right.
Yeah. Should be.
Should be. But if we start with that Raiders-Chargers game,
that's the big one.
Yeah, those are 2 teams that I have had a tough time pinning throughout the season, and I've wanted to jump on the Chargers bandwagon so many times this season, and then they've had a weird performance and thrown me off.
Ridiculous.
I've never been encouraged about the Raiders, but they've hung around to this point, right? You look up and they have a winning record, 9 wins. So you look up and they have a really impressive win against the Colts. This looks like if they can repeat that performance, they can go in to LA and beat the Chargers. But it's going to come down to me to the end of the football game, right? Division rivals, two really funky, weird teams this season. And if it comes down to that, you'd have to lean the Chargers' way. Derek Carr, he did it again last week. 29 game-winning drives in his career. Like he's built to win at the end of games. And if they hang around, like the Raiders can really find themselves winning in LA and getting into the playoffs. And I see that. I could absolutely see that happening.
And I
Weird
think
to say.
It is. And I want to give props to Derek Carr, who I feel like a lot of people pass over his first couple years in the league before that back injury. He was going to be like the next star of the league. Very similar to, I think, how people view Justin Herbert. And since then, things haven't gone well. He's lost a couple head coaches, lost a GM, Antonio Brown. I mean, you could go down the list of like stuff that has happened that is bad to Derek Carr.
It would derail a lot of careers. It would definitely derail a lot of careers. It would.
And yet you look and he has 29 game-winning drives. That's more than anyone else since he has entered the league. And he's doing all this on an offense that Hunter Renfrow is his number one target. Darren Waller's been out the majority of the year. Their defense is 27th ranked in EPA per play. They're not very good, and despite all of that, they have a chance to still make it into the playoffs. Hats off to Derek Carr. I say all that to say this. There's 0% chance the Raiders win this game. 0% chance.
Not zero.
Zero.
It's gonna be an offensive game. You just read off all those stats. Their defense it's not gonna be about their defense.
The Raiders
it's not gonna be about the Chargers defense.
Raiders offense still isn't very good.
But watch it. They put up points against the Colts. Like watch them put up points though.
I can see it.
You go to point differential. The Raiders in point differential are a minus 68 compared to a plus 18 for the Los Angeles Chargers. I just first and foremost, like narrative beyond anything else. Like this is just a phenomenal spot for Justin Herbert to kind of put his stamp. Not that he hasn't yet, but put another stamp on. I'm the alpha rookie, not rookie, but young QB. Put himself up there with Joe Burrow, keep pace, stuff like that. Beyond that, you have a lot of young guys young and experienced guys on the Chargers roster who have been through playoff runs. This is in essence a playoff game. So I just can't see them losing. I can't.
Yeah, I'm with you. But you say shout out Derek Carr. I say shout out Rich Pasicchia.
Yeah,
because he came in as an interim head coach and might have the Raiders job next season. I mean, I could see them sticking with him.
They get in the playoffs, you got to give it to him.
Yeah, he's just thrown into the spot. They were 3-2, I think, under Gruden, and then he's 6-5 with them. So shout out him. But to Jake's point, both teams have let me down. First, I'll start with the Chargers. I came in about 4 weeks ago. Chargers in the playoffs, easy. Look at their schedule. I mean, I'm like, it doesn't matter what happened in the Chiefs game. Like, look who they have to play, and then they drop a dud to the Texans. Ridiculous. And then on the Raiders side, this team was so bad, and I'm talking bad about them every single week, and then all of a sudden they just win 3 straight. But what I will say is I think this is a little bit of a fluke. They had no right winning that Tuesday night. Was it Tuesday night or Monday night when they had to play the Browns when that game got moved back from a Saturday?
Tuesday.
They had no right winning that game, winning on the last second field goal. They didn't have much of a right winning the Colts game last week, winning on a last second field goal. And who'd they play in between? The Broncos or a hit or miss team there. And before that was all the losing, right? They came off of a 48-3 loss to the Kansas City, or 48-9 loss against Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think this team is good. I think they are honestly the worst team out of any of the teams we're going to talk about in these AFC games. Well, not the Jaguars, obviously, but the teams that are in the hunt still have a spot to make the playoffs. And I think the Chargers are still very good. They drop 1 to the Texans, but come back and take care of business like they have to. Now, this game is, where's this game at? Raiders. I think they go to Vegas and take a dub off of them pretty convincingly. I think this is a 10-point game.
Oh, don't tell me it's in LA or in Vegas.
It's in Vegas.
If it's in Vegas, it's more to my point. Like it's funny you talk about a team that's not good, but you just described 3 gritty wins at the end of the NFL season, and you're gonna tell me that this
Browns
team
game was so ugly
with more, and so was the Colts game. And by the way, I don't think Hunter Renfrow was down. I think they got the call right. They get the touchdown. So they pull out these wins at the end of the season, and like they find themselves, by the way, with just as many or more wins as the Chargers, with a chance to lock up a chance, or a place in the playoffs, a spot in the playoffs. Like that's a square however you want it. That's a good football team to me. And Derek Carr is an impressive quarterback.
Yeah.
So at home, playoff lives are like winning. You're in the Death Star.
Look,
just win, baby.
Here's
I got
what
the
you
Raiders.
got.
Just win, baby. I got the Raiders.
That's what the Raiders. Yeah, so you get a pat on the back and you get sent on your way. That's
I've
what
seen
this is.
one game this season since like week 5 to tell me they're a good team, and that was Thanksgiving against the Cowboys. And that's the only thing I'm going to give them.
And yet, they find themselves with a chance to get into the playoffs at the end of the season.
Hey, they started 3-0. Those wins count to the end.
And think about how much this team is. It not impressive? We talked about one scandal that this team had to go through, not the second or the third catastrophic scandal in one season. Screw one season, consecutive weeks, my guys, back to back weeks, things that would make an organization crumble. This same team with that coach that you talked about, this quarterback I'm talking about, that's impressive. That's impressive. And they're scratching and crawling their way to an end of the season. Like come on.
On the other hand, you say that, right. On the other hand, it's like, oh, well, that scandal would have rocked another team. Yeah, it's just Tuesday for the Raiders. It's just another day for the Raiders. That's why it's like, another one of our best players got cut. Oh, okay.
Yeah. It happens, right? It happens. All right, we'll move on.
Hold on. Who do you got? I got to ask you who you got.
The Raiders.
I got. You think they beat the? I thought you were just giving them some props because we didn't really look at the other side.
No,
they're playing the Chargers, man.
I know who they're playing. I know who they're. Didn't the Chargers drop a dud to the Texans? Did we just talk all about that too?
Yeah, they didn't get beat 48-9 like the Raiders did the week before that.
Hey man, a dud's a dud. Everyone has a dud week.
I'm taking.
But we're describing two teams in similar position. That's fine. I'm odd man out in the Chargers too. I'm also the odd man out in the Saints one.
That one that very well could be right about. I don't even.
Yeah, that one I'm way more. This one I said there's 0% chance the Raiders win.
Yeah, this one I heard you. About.
I heard you. Don't let me come back on both of these next week because Jake
ain't gonna be right about this one.
So I'm gonna bet on the Raiders just to hedge my happiness in case they do win. I have to hear from you.
Right. All right. The next one, heavy playoff implications. The Steelers at the Ravens Sunday at 1 p.m. The Steelers come off an emotional night. Big Ben's final home game, which was as Steelers Browns-esque as it could get.
Hideous.
Game. As Steelers Browns-esque it could get. And now they have to go to the Ravens, who are angry that they just dropped one. They let the Sunny Boys, the Rams, come into town and beat them. So now that they have to come to defend home field against the division foe against the Steelers. So this will probably be another AFC North battle, so another ugly game because that's how these games are.
When's the last time, and Kyle, you probably know better than I would, when's like the last time there hasn't been a decisive week 17, this is week 18, but week like 17 AFC North game.
AFC North. Dude, I mean, it's every year.
It feels like it's every year.
I mean, well, this one's obviously for a wild card, not for the division. But if you look at both sides of that, like just for a playoff implication, it's like every single year.
Yeah. And like it's always like you kind of feel bad for the Browns because they were a decent team that maybe in another division you get a couple more wins and you're in a wild card. But up and down throughout that division, very difficult.
Juggernauts, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much this game's gonna matter. Obviously, the Steelers can only get in with a win and a Colts loss, and the Ravens can only get in if they beat the Steelers, the Colts lose, and the Chargers lose. But they're playing the game at 1 o'clock, so both teams are coming at it, going hard. They'll have no idea that the fate's out of their hands at that point. So, I mean, Big Ben, last game at Heinz Field was great. He didn't look that good.
No.
He didn't look that good.
No.
The team didn't look that good outside of TJ Watt and a couple plays on defense, but you could even chalk that up to Baker Mayfield looking terrible. I mean, so the Steelers are tough. It's a good feel-good story last night just as a whole. If they do somehow sneak into the playoffs, that'll be an even better feel-good story. But I don't think they get past the Ravens, and it's going to be a shame to me not seeing the Ravens in the playoffs, most likely just because Lamar Jackson got hurt all of those weeks.
Me too. I do think I agree with Kyle. I do think they go in best. Or you said you don't think the Steelers go in and beat them. You said they do.
No, I think the Ravens win.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Ravens do too.
And we don't have to spend a ton of time, but I did dig up a stat that I thought was really interesting. When you look at Pittsburgh and their defense and the points that they've led up in the last, I believe it was 8 weeks, the teams that are run-heavy teams versus Pittsburgh D have not scored over 20. That is Cleveland with a 14 and a 10-point performance. They're first in yards per attempt in rushing. Baltimore scored 19 points against them the first time. Tennessee, 13 points. They're first in rushing attempts.
Yep.
But when you look at the Steelers, they've allowed the second most rushing yards out of any defense. They're the second most ran against team. And on the passing side, they've allowed the 12th fewest passing yards. But when you look at pass-heavy teams that they've played, the Chiefs, 36 points. Minnesota, 36. Cincinnati,
doesn't make
41.
sense.
It's really odd. And now you have the Ravens coming in, who are third in rushing attempt, first in rushing yards. Like, I guess you probably, like, from a betting stance, you probably want to take the under in the game if the trend follows. But, like,
Right.
that doesn't, I know football. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
What numbers are you throwing at me? What numbers are you
These
trying
don't
to
add
throw
up.
me right now?
Yeah, they don't add up.
For the Ravens, you want to talk about giving a team a shout out, an honorable mention. I want to give the Ravens an honorable mention because, Kyle, you talked about how Lamar Jackson was hurt for all of these weeks. If he wasn't, the Ravens we're probably talking about this game a lot differently. Maybe even the Ravens and the Bengals are jostling for a spot at the AFC North. Probably, I'll even say. And for a team that endured all 3 of their running backs getting injured before the season started, decimating injuries to their defense. Every year there's one team decimated by injuries, and it was the Baltimore Ravens. And for them to even at this point, like up until this past week, having a shot at the playoffs, that is the ultimate like tip of the cap to this team. Because that you want to talk about a team should have folded. Like they should have folded a long time ago. Most teams would have folded a long time ago, and justifiably so. I mean, I really have to give them their props for that.
Yeah, for sure. They've lost 4 straight now with Snoop, Tyler Huntley. I like Tyler Huntley too. I think last week we saw his first like real poor performance. I think
and he's putting up fights in all these games.
Yeah, the 3 previous weeks he was playing really well. I don't think the running back thing matters that much. They've been able to do it with just random names like Gus Edwards when he was a nobody. Obviously, he got hurt this year, and you can just go back Dixon. I mean, but. Yeah, you talk about it. Losing your quarterback, the face of your franchise. The Ravens have never been a team with a bunch of talent on offense, right? So when you take away the one playmaker on their offense, that's going to decimate a team, and it's playing out this season. I would have loved to see them in the playoffs. I'd actually give them a fighting shot against basically any team in the AFC if Lamar Jackson plays and they're in the playoff scenario. And the fact they're going to miss out because of that injury specifically, in my mind, that's why they're missing out. It's tough. I mean, it's a tough time to be a Ravens fan.